Hey guys, it's me, SillySquirtle Gaming, and in this video, I'm going to be ranking every single Fortnite exotic item. Exotic items are just like regular items, but each one has a specific perk. But I feel like the exotic items are pretty underrated. They haven't really made an appearance in the main game since Chapter 4 Season 1. Well, outside of Reload. But today, I just want to rank them all, see which ones are bad and which ones are good. Please do keep in mind that this is all my own personal opinion, so if you don't like it, then write in the comments about how much you hate me or something, I don't know. Also, this video was inspired by Thai fries. Thank you. Alright, first up, coming in at last place is going to be the Chili Chug Splash. Initially, I wanted to put the Chili Chug Splashes a lot higher, but after thinking about it a bit, this exotic really is not that good. It worked like a regular Chug Splash, healing for 20, but all you really got was a slight speed boost, which honestly didn't really make a difference. I do remember liking this quite a bit when it first came back, but looking back now, we have so many better healing exotics and healing items in general that this one just kinda stays at the back. I also remember this being in a lot of seasons too. Maybe they could have buffed it along the way, they could have made it heal for more, or the speed boost would be bigger, but no, it's just a Chug Splash. What were you really expecting? Alrighty, coming in at number 21 is going to be the Super Slap Splash. And you might be thinking to yourself, what the hell is the Super Slap Splash? Say that 3 times fast. Well, it was an exotic that was only available in Chapter 4 Season 4. To put it simply, it's just like the Chili Chug Splashes, but not only do you heal for more, but you actually are able to sprint for over a minute. It's just an enhanced version of the regular Slap Splashes, healing for 30 instead of 15. And you know how I said every exotic has a perk? Yeah, not this one. The only thing you really got was an extended running boost and a participation trophy. Yeah, there really was no point to carry these, because not only was it only found in llamas, and it was in one season, but also the fact that the legendary Slurp Juice was in the same season, and that practically just carried the healing meta. Absolutely nobody was taking this exotic over a legendary Slurp Juice. This clip basically just explains it for itself. You want this exotic?
No.
Wah wah. Coming in at number 20 is going to be the Marksman 6-shooter, another gun that I didn't really use that much. This is only above the Slap Splash and Chili Chug Splash because it's an actual weapon. This was an exotic version of the 6-shooter, a gun that I already didn't really like that much, but its perk was that if you landed a quote-unquote critical hit, it would do 4 times the damage, and that sounds like a lot, right? And you would actually be correct, it did 120 damage if you headshotted someone with it. But that's only if you headshotted someone with it. If you landed basically any other shot, it would do 20 to 40 damage. And that's not even to mention the damage drop-off. Honestly, I don't think anyone would be willing to take that risk if you were, say, in a box with someone else and you pulled this thing out and started spamming it. At that point, I would rather just have an SMG, or hell, even an AR would be better than this thing. Because even if you did hit fire and landed a body shot, it would only do 40 damage. The fact that you only had 6 shots too, I could see this thing coming in clutch if you hit a couple lucky shots maybe, but otherwise, this gun is just garbage. Okay, coming in at number 19 is gonna be the Nighthawk, and I'm just gonna get this out the way. Hawk Tua. Yeah, there. This pistol was an exotic version of the Scoped Revolver, and in theory, this gun doesn't sound that bad. Aiming in with this gun was able to give you night vision, you were able to see people all around, and it wasn't actually that bad of a feature. It worked fine, and it did the same amount as a regular Scoped Revolver, so what's the deal? Well, this gun would definitely be higher if there weren't so many other guns that did the same thing. Think of the thermal fish we had. The Mando Sniper also had night vision. The mod benches we have now can give you a scope with heat vision. Think of the Monarch pistol, the Striker ARs, the snipers. Basically every single gun now can do what the Nighthawk did back in Chapter 2. And this gun is good in theory, but I feel like there's just a lot more guns that just did it better. Number 18 is the Storm Scout Sniper Rifle.
There's nothing.
It's the exact same as the normal sniper rifle. Number 17 is the Boom Sniper. This sniper is weird. You were able to shoot 5 rounds in quick succession, but you actually shot out clingers instead of actual bullets. But to be honest, anyone could just counter this by building, and even if you did hit someone, the damage wasn't that much. Hitting someone did 10 damage, but then the explosive damage would deal 75. It's not even that great, even for a sniper. Although I do feel like in certain situations, this thing could come in handy. Maybe a full squad is together and you rain explosives on them, and the splash damage would hit them all, getting them weak. I remember using this quite a bit when it released, mostly because I like explosive weapons, but once again, this really is not good if you're just looking for kills. Okay, number 16 is going to be the Heisted Breacher Shotgun. This is going to be the lowest I put a heist weapon because all of them are actually really good, except for this one, and there's a good reason. This shotgun would be miles higher if I was making this like a year ago. This weapon would be able to break through any wall, and it was great for bursting into boxes and killing the people inside. Not only that, but the damage was pretty solid as well. At the time, it was one of the only shotguns that hit for over 200, leaving it to be really good in build mode. But like, I don't know where, but somewhere along the way, Epic decided to nerf this thing into the ground. Instead of doing 800 damage, which could break through any wall, it only did 255 now, which couldn't even break a brick wall. And then they nerfed it again, and now it only does 185 damage. Same thing goes for damaging players. Instead of hitting for over 200, you were only able to hit like 170. This would definitely be a must-take weapon, but unfortunately they removed the entire purpose of the exotic, and that's why it's one of the lowest. Also the fact that it's a single bullet heavy shotgun, and I don't like those. And number 15 just so happens to be the unstable bow. Now, I'd say the unstable bow is actually a pretty unique bow. With this, you were able to shoot any arrow in the game, like a shockwave arrow, a stink arrow, a fire, anything, with just a single exotic. But the thing was, you weren't actually able to pick what bow you got with it. It was completely random, which I think makes it a bit more fair, but at the same time, using it was a complete gamble, meaning you had to rely on pure luck when shooting someone with this thing. Sometimes I caught myself trying to use it like a shockwave bow, only to get stanked 10 seconds later. I'm not exactly sure if there's a cycle or it just randomly chooses. If it's the former, then I could definitely see some strategy being done, but otherwise, it's just a decent exotic. Number 15 is going to be the quad... What the fuck is the name of this thing? Number 14 is going to be the Burst Quad Launcher. Now we're getting into somewhat decent exotics. Every exotic from now on is either just okay or really good. The Quad Launcher, however, is just okay. The Burst Quad Launcher was the same as the regular Quad Launcher in terms of looks and damage, but shooting once would actually fire 2 rockets, each dealing 40 damage, which would come out to 80 total if you hit both rockets. But chances are you actually aren't really going to hit both rockets, considering they both go in different directions, meaning you'll only do about 40 or maybe 50 damage with one shot, which you know isn't that bad. We've had worse. But it's not that effective when fighting players or destroying builds, because this thing was bad at destroying builds. It's a good weapon, but we have better explosives. Just take the regular quad launcher. Taking our number 13 spot is the Big Chill, one of 3 mobility items on this list. Instead of using it as a weapon, you shot it at your feet, which would boost you across the map with a snowball effect. If you actually had rockets, you were able to use this thing pretty effectively. In all honesty, I think this is one of the only times I actually liked something that had the chiller effect. And when used offensively, you were able to shoot people off their builds, and they would die to fall damage, which also was pretty funny. I'll give it props for that. For a mobility exotic, the Big Chill was actually pretty decent. I kinda wish it was in more seasons, but overall it was pretty good. Number 12 is the Heisted Explosive Assault Rifle. In all honesty, when I first used this gun, I thought I would hate it a lot more. But it's actually really good in the right situations. It did 60 damage, and catching someone out in the open with it, you could definitely get a couple of hits in, or maybe even a kill. My only real complaint with this is that it feels like sometimes the explosions are hit them, or it just doesn't do enough damage. But when it does work, it works well. It also did double damage to vehicles when it was in the game, so you were able to beam people with this. So yeah, it's one of the best explosive exotics in the game. If this comes back, I'd say you should take it, yeah. Number 11 is going to be the Grappler Bow. It's another mobility weapon, and there's not too much to say about this bow. There's a reason this is smack dab in the middle of the list. The name is pretty self-explanatory. You're able to grapple around, and to give it props, the damage wasn't that bad. It did 200 headshot, and for a bow, that's pretty good. So I would definitely rather take this than a shockwave bow. Using this felt extremely smooth, and you were able to catch people off guard, leading to some good clips. I feel like the first thing that just comes to my mind is that Nick 30 clip where he hit that insane shot with the grappler bow. Genuinely one of my favorite clips from Nick 30. Like, genuinely, it was so good. Alrighty, cracking in the top 10 is the Heisted Blink Mag SMG, and now we're getting into really good exotics. The regular Twin Mag SMG was already one of my favorites, right? So why not make it better by giving you the 0 point effect every time you reload? I really like this gun because not only was it insanely accurate and being able to do 273 damage a second, but extra mobility is always a plus. And the teleportation shot you pretty far too, so that's why it's this high. Coming in at number 9 is the Icy Grappler, another personal favorite mobility of mine. You guys might not know this, but back in my day, there was an LCM called Slide, which would give you icy feet, an infinite grappler. Go have fun! I think that was basically the inspiration from this item, which is the same thing, and boy was it fun. Traversing the map and creeping up on people in build fights felt smooth, and since it was infinite, that made it even better. I'm just gonna quickly give it a bonus point for the single day it was available in Chapter 5, but there was a bug that people just abused and it sent people flying. That was really funny. Coming in at number 8 is gonna be the Dub. Okay, I used to really not like the Dub, but more recently, I've been warming up to it a lot. This thing would act like a Flintknock. Hitting people would knock them back, and to make up for it, it would actually do over 100 damage to the body, which is really good. Since the first shot knocks you back, I highly doubt you would ever really hit 2 shots with this. I remember using this thing to knock people off the little balloons in Chapter 3 Season 4. That was really fun. I wish they would at least bring this thing back and reload. It's probably one of the most iconic exotics in the game. Getting number 7 will be the Chug Cannon. I really didn't know where to place this thing, but I think here is like the most appropriate place, right? The Chug Cannon is basically what the Bandaged Bazooka wanted to be. It was the cooler Daniel, if you will. This was basically an infinite chug splash, recharging once every 15 seconds, and you got 15 heals per splash. This was basically the go-to healing for the couple seasons it was in. I remember using this a lot. I think it was my most used exotic, and for good reason. It's a pretty good healing item. The only setback really is that it takes up 2 slots, but that's pretty understandable considering the sheer size. But really, you cannot go wrong with infinite heals. Number 6 is gonna be the Exotic Burst Pulse Rifle. Okay, so guys, I have something to admit. Me personally, I've never actually used this gun. But considering the history of pulse rifles and the fact that this was a burst weapon, yeah, I'm just gonna take a wild guess and say that this thing was OP as fuck. Looking at the gameplay, this thing would hit for 45 for a body shot, and since it fired in bursts, hitting both shots basically meant a free kill. Yeah, I could definitely see how people would get annoyed by this weapon. Why is it that every time Fortnite adds pulse rifles, they're like one of the best guns of the season? And it was only preparing us for Chapter 4. Alright, these 5 guns are the exotics that I really like, that I would 100% chase if I had the chance to. And number 5 is going to be the Shadow Tracker. I usually wouldn't put a pistol like this high, but this thing was good. Hitting someone meant they were marked for a short period of time, so you and your team would be able to see them through walls and stuff. Not only that, the fire rate on this thing was insane, like it was better than a regular suppressed pistol. While it was in the game, I would definitely take this thing over a blue or even a purple AR, because it did the same amount of damage just with an extra perk. And hitting people once and marking them for everyone to see made for some really good strategy with this gun, and I really like it for that. Coming in at number 4 is the Dragon's Breath Sniper. Now, seeing as I put the other snipers pretty low, you probably expected me to put this one a bit lower as well, but I also really like this sniper. This sniper was able to set buildings, other players, basically everything on fire, and this was just absolutely chaotic. Shooting this thing in Weeping Woods was basically like William Aftoning yourself. If you know, you know. As an actual weapon, I really liked it. It did the exact same as a regular bolt sniper, but I liked that extra feature of the enemy's builds just being lit on fire and them having to struggle and panic and quickly get out of there before they're lit on fire. But it also goes both ways. I mean, this thing was annoying to fight against. If you only had wood and this person was just spamming it at your builds, yeah, you were pretty much as good as dead. Didn't stop me from burning down Weeping Woods. Yeah, suck it, Nathan. Now, number 3 is going to be the Hop Rock Dualies. Up until Chapter 4, this exotic was definitely my absolute favorite. Having the Hop Rock effect is definitely one of my favorite feelings in the game. This thing was good at letting you fly around infinitely. And this thing just looked awesome, man. Come on, look at them and tell me you wouldn't pick them up. You used to be able to use this really effectively against people. Sometimes you would use it with the bouncer to go flying, or with the shockwave. No matter what you use this weapon for, it would never fail you. I really like the fun weapons in Fortnite. The weapons that you could have a lot of fun with, but still use as a weapon. And I think this fits that description perfectly. Not only that, but it was actually pretty strong. And also I think it was more accurate than the regular Hop Rocks too. So yeah, extra bonus points for that. Alright, you already know the last 2 are exotic Heisted weapons, so let's just get into number 2, and it's actually the Heisted Running Gun. This is probably the most practical SMG you would want in Chapter 4, or even Reload. Just having this out, not only were you able to sprint infinitely, which is already a really good perk by itself, it actually had a second, more unknown perk, which would reload the gun as you're running. That's right, not only was the perk amazing, it was modeled after the compact SMG, which was already overpowered as hell at the time. You didn't even need to aim. Half the time I would hip fire and still kill people with this thing. Dude, I would take this over a Blink Mag SMG in a heartbeat, man. I think the Heisted Running Gun is one of, if not the best SMG in all of Fortnite. And I think it definitely deserves a spot in number 2. And I think you could all guess what the best exotic in the game is. Number 1, yep, that's right, it's the Heisted Accelerant Shotgun. And do I even need to explain myself? Whenever you dealt damage, the fire rate would increase, and this thing would go fast. Like, this thing would outgun the TAC, Shoddy, the Pump, every single SMG. No matter which way you put it, this thing was a beast. The extra speed boost was a good touch as well. This gun was just an absolute brute to everyone. Man, if you weren't there for Chapter 4 Season 3 when you could actually buy this thing, everyone was going for it at the start of the match. Whenever you get this thing in reload, you just feel like an absolute god. Because now you know that with this thing, you'll have a good chance at winning. Because it's literally one of the highest DPS guns in the entire game. So I think that the Heisted Accelerant Shotgun definitely deserves the #1 spot. Who agrees with me? Ah, fuck. So that's gonna be it for the video. Once again, this is all my personal opinion, so if you don't like it, then if you guys want to see more ranking videos like this, then please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Also, I just want to give a quick thank you for 3,000 views on the accolades video. I genuinely wasn't expecting that, and I worked so hard on that video. You don't know how much it means to me that it got that much support, so thank you. Well, I'm gonna go back in my cave to play some more Fortnite now. I'll see you guys in the next video. Squirtle on!